Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about the Indigenous Data Champions Fellowship. I'm Stephanie Russo Carroll. I'm Atnat from the native village of Cludica and of Sicilian descent, and I co-direct the Indigenous Data Alliance. Joining me is my colleague and co-founder, Riley Teiting-Fong. Whether you're just hearing about the fellowship for the first time or you're considering submitting an application, we hope this short information session gives you a better understanding of what the program is, who it's designed for, and what you can expect if you become a fellow.
Thanks, Steph. Buenas Day. My name is Riley Taiting Fong. I'm Chamorro with ties to the island of Guam and also of mixed European descent. I co-direct the Indigenous Data Alliance along with Steph and Desi Small Rodriguez. We are very excited that you're here and interested in the fellowship. And we've received a number of similar questions from prospective applicants, so we thought it would be helpful to create this recording that walks through the fellowship and answers many of those questions in one place. So let's get started. Okay, so first, a bit about the purpose of the fellowship. So the Indigenous Data Champions Fellowship Program is an Indigenous data sovereignty and data governance training program for Indigenous leaders, professionals, and community representatives working on behalf of tribal nations, Alaska Native communities, Native Hawaiians, and Indigenous Island Territories. The fellowship is designed to strengthen Indigenous leadership in Indigenous data sovereignty and data governance. Rather than only focusing on technical skills, the fellowship brings together Indigenous leaders from many different backgrounds who are already doing important work within their own nations and communities, building communities and connections. Throughout the fellowship, participants learn together and on their own, build relationships with each other and ID solve concepts, explore real-world applications through webinars, and strengthen their ability to lead data initiatives grounded in Indigenous values through, for example, individual fellowship projects. The people who usually apply are from a range of backgrounds, ages, diversities, but one thing they all have in common is that they are actively dealing with and want to learn more about data from their tribes and communities. We've had people who work in tribal leadership roles, tribal departments, housing, economics, creating policy. We've had researchers, scientists, and people leading or working with nonprofit organizations. Also, folks working in immersive cultural schools, working in language revitalization. Some folks deal directly with data and spreadsheets and with numbers. Some deal with data in the form of elder interviews and community archives, and others even deal with data in creating policy and frameworks.
One of the things that we've heard from participants is that the relationships they build and the connections they make have been just as valuable as the curriculum and training itself. So while you'll certainly leave with new knowledge and practical tools, you'll also become part of a growing community of practice of Indigenous individuals and allies who continue to support one another long after the program ends. Let's talk about a few of the things fellows have told us that they've gained from the experience. So fellows have gained knowledge and skills. You'll gain practical knowledge and tools that you can immediately apply to your work while strengthening your understanding of Indigenous data sovereignty and Indigenous data governance. Community and kinship. I think one of the most meaningful parts of the fellowship is the community. You build relationships with Indigenous leaders from across tribal nations and Indigenous communities who often become trusted colleagues, collaborators, and lifelong friends. Leadership opportunities is another environment that folks in the fellowship gain access to. And the fellowship really is designed to help strengthen your confidence as a leader, equipping you to advocate for and to advance Indigenous data initiatives within your own nation, organization, or community. National visibility and networking. You'll expand your professional network by connecting with Indigenous leaders, researchers, practitioners, and organizations working to advance Indigenous data sovereignty across many different regions and disciplines. Finally, long-term impact. Most importantly, the fellowship isn't just about what you learn during the program, it's about taking the knowledge home and creating lasting impact within your own community and for future generations. So these are things that fellows have already voiced as the key gains or components to the fellowship.
All right. Next, we'll talk a bit about what to expect, kind of the timeline of the fellowship. So we wanted to walk you through it as much as possible. We have this little calendar view for you all just to make it a little easier to see what happens over time throughout the fellowship. So starting in July, this is our application period, which is open now, and the information about this is available on our site. August is the selection process. So this is when our core leadership team evaluates the applications received with the criteria also listed on the site. In September, we have our orientation, which will be a walkthrough of the fellowship and just time to build community and get to know one another. We'll also host our virtual masterclass, which is a series of all-day training sessions with Indigenous data sovereignty leaders and folks working on the ground in these contexts. Then in October to May, this is our recurring monthly commitments for the fellowship. So this includes one cohort call, a check-in, questions about your project every month. And this is also includes an optional mentorship session in case you need help or have questions. And you also must attend one webinar or training and complete a survey about the webinar that you attended. So to recap, each month, that's 3 commitments, 2 of which are mandatory, and the mentorship call is optional. Just again, if you need help or want to talk, build community connections, and connect with our leadership team or your peers further. Finally, also to note, our fellowship program coordinator will send calendar invites through email, and we'll have a fellowship portal available so you can track all of these commitments, dates, time, and get reminders. And in June, we will conclude with a final cohort call. This includes Project Lightning Talks, in which each of the fellows give a short presentation and receive feedback on their final projects. We'll also have some time to discuss future plans, create ways of staying connected with one another. Our inaugural cohort this year began a LinkedIn group that folks can join, and you'll be invited to join that. And then we'll just wrap up with any final information about our closeout survey, exit survey for the program. To complete the fellowship, you must complete this survey. And so this is what you can expect as a fellow throughout the fellowship. Anything else there to add, Steph? Otherwise, I think we'll go to the frequently asked questions.
All right, we'll wrap up with some answers to some frequently asked questions. I'll begin. Is the fellowship open to people in Canada and Mexico?
So the fellowship is only open to applicants in the United States right now. That includes applicants who are Indigenous individuals in the United States with tribal Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian, or Indigenous Island Territory affiliations. So, for example, Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, Northern Mariana Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands. Applicants must indicate their Indigenous affiliations during the application process. Next question, based on my place of employment, am I eligible for this fellowship?
So applicants should be working for or on behalf of Indigenous communities in one of the 3 following capacities. So they need to be possibly working for a tribal institution as a tribal government leader, a non-elected, appointed, or executive tribal staff or employee. The second option is to be working for a tribal, Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian, or Indigenous Island Territory organization. Applicants can be in executive, department, or program leaders of nonprofit organizations directly serving tribal nations, Alaska Native communities, Native Hawaiians, or Indigenous Island Territories. And finally, applicants can be from or holding tribal or Indigenous community-based roles such as community representatives, cultural leaders, tribal staff, Indigenous leaders, professionals, and community representatives. Another question we often get is, do I need a technical background?
Nope, you do not. Applicants of any sector are encouraged to apply. The next question is, how much time does the fellowship take?
So, given the outline that Riley gave you in the calendar there, the fellowship takes about 5 hours per month of direct contact through fellowship meetings, webinars, and reflection. Your fellowship project itself can be part of your ongoing work at your place of employment, or a new initiative on your own. This is entirely up to you and or your place of work. Another question is, if I'm selected, can you provide proof of selection and time commitment of the fellowship that I can submit to my job to verify any time off needed?
Yes, we provide a PDF letter of acceptance and fellowship responsibilities, which includes a listing of activities. Next question is there a cost to participate?
No, there's not. We actually pay you to learn, grow, and connect. Finally, what happens after the fellowship ends?
So at the conclusion of the fellowship, you will be included in invitations to future fellowship webinars, gatherings, both virtual and in person, and you'll join a growing community of practice. Those are our frequently asked questions. If you have any other questions, please reach out to us at info@indigenousdata.org.
So we
Alrighty.
hope this session has given you a better sense of what the Indigenous Data Champions Fellowship is all about. If it sounds like an opportunity that aligns with your work and your community, we encourage you to apply.
Thank you again so much for your interest. We're excited to learn more about you and the work that you're doing in your community, and we look forward to receiving your applications. Bye.